6 almost classic cars I would love to own in near future. Well, starting off we have the BMW 850 CSI. The 850 CSI was introduced in 1992. It was one of the fastest BMWs ever produced. It was available with a 5.6 liter V12 mated to a 6-speed manual gearbox, and that's what made it special. Unfortunately, in 1996, stricter emission guidelines were imposed which ended the 850 CSI's short-lived production period. It delivered around 380 horsepower and only 1,510 units were ever produced. Further, what's special about this car is that after looking at the 850 CSI's engine, McLaren came to BMW for an engine for their legendary McLaren F1. This 850 CSI's engine block then found its way in the McLaren F1. Variations of this motor, which is essentially a pair of straight six fused together, would go on to win the 24 Hours of Le Mans outright in both McLaren F1 GTR and BMW's own V12 LMR. Well, the most striking part about this car is the GT performance it has and the sound it makes. Well, you need to hear it yourself. I think BMW 8 Series is one of the most underrated BMWs of our time. We have been told the BMW M1 is one of the most legendary BMWs, but the 8 Series deserves a chapter in the book of historical BMWs because it's so quintessential, the performance, the way it sounds. Not a lot of people knew about the 8 Series until BMW came up with the new 8 Series, which will be launching anytime soon. But the 850 CSI is one of the craziest, baddest and meanest GTs available there. Well, the next car on the list is yet another Beamer. It's the BMW M Coupe, and you can agree with me that there was something special about the BMWs of the 90s and early 2000s. The M Coupe was based on a Z3 platform, the old school convertible BMW had back then. BMW's engineers wanted to create a car with more rigidity but the same Z3 chassis because Z3's engine was fantastic and it always had a great feedback. So they wanted to create a better driving experience from the already existing Z3 chassis. Now the simplest way to get the rigidity was to connect the roof with the rear end of the car, and that's how M Coupe shooting brake was born. The car only had two generations and I like the first generation. The first generation was later divided into two production periods. First, which started in 1998, and second, which started in 2001. The 2001 production period car is my favorite car because it had a E46 M3 engine churning out 320 horses, and who doesn't like a M Coupe, a hatchback with the M3 engine. Three things I love about the M Coupe: first, design; second, size; third, it's a tuner's vehicle. I think M Coupe symbolizes a perfect harmony between engineers and designers, and that's why I love this car. The next car on this list is a rather special one. It's an import from Japan. It's the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo.
Yo, nutsack, let me tell you something, man. Muscle beats import every time. You know what I'm saying?
I like muscle cars, but I think I have always had a soft corner for imports. I love the Evos. They've got a quick steering, they've got a punchy, torquey engines and a great grip. The Evos are a set of sedans which kept on getting better with every generation. Evos can be the best daily cars out there because who doesn't want to drift on a windy section of a road whenever they go out to buy groceries. Evos are tuners' wet dream come true. I think Evo 8 and Evo 9 are my favorite Evos of all time, but there is one Evo which is really close to my heart, and that's the Evo 4, the most successful model which came in 1996. The Evo 4 helped Tommy Magnussen win 4 consecutive driving titles in WRC. The first thing I want to do to my Evo is to make it sound like this. Coming up next is a prancing horse straight from Maranello. Well, we all know this car as the car from the Bad Boys 2. This is the Ferrari 575 Maranello. M in the 575 stands for modified, as it was a better version of 550 Maranello. It had 5740cc front-mounted naturally aspirated V12, churning out 515 brake horsepower. But that's not the special part about this car. The car was offered with two gearbox options, the flappy paddle one and the manual one. The manual one made it a work of Picasso. I saw this car first while going through old Top Gear clips, where Jeremy Clarkson compares this car with the Aston Martin Vanquish. The car just reminds me that no matter how much you crib about Ferrari's maintenance issues, nevertheless there are some Ferraris which truly are a work of art. There's no doubt in my mind about the fact that this car will appreciate in value soon. Well, the next two cars on the list are rather very unexpected, but allow me to explain why they belong there. The first car is a work of small Californian company called Singer. It's simply an old 911 peppered with modern touches. It has a classic 3.8 litre flat 6 fiddled by Cosworth. The body of a Singer looks old, but it has been recalibrated in carbon fiber. The next car, and also the sixth car, is a work of a Sussex-based restoration company called Eagle. Now, Jeremy Clarkson in his review said the Eagle Speedster by far is one of the most beautiful cars he had ever seen. But then he corrected himself and said it's one of the most beautiful things he had ever seen. Under the bonnet, there's a fuel-injected 4.7 litre stage 6 mated to a 5-speed manual gearbox. Well, by now you might be wondering why these cars exist on the list. Alright, so in the era of lap times in 0 to 60 timings, I think there are very few manufacturers who are able to bring old charm in their cars. Last I remember, it was Porsche with the 911R, and I think very few companies are doing that. But I think sooner or later, cars like Eagle Speedster and Singer will rise in value. In simple words, they are almost custom classics. That's why they are on the list. Tell me in the comment section what are the 6 almost classic cars you like. This was my list, and stay tuned for further videos.